गोपीजना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी शोधनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी राधा माधव कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की श्री श्री राधा गिरिधारी की all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Nashtaprayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki krishnaya vasudevaya devaki nandanaya cha nandagopakumaraya govindaya namo namaha. Welcome all of you for the Srimad Bhagavatam class this morning. We are reciting from the 5th canto, 18th chapter, 29th verse. Hiranmayepi Bhagavan Nivasati Kurmatanum Vibranas Tasya Tat Priyatamam Tanum Aryamam Sahavarsha Purushaihi Pitraganadipatir Upadhavati Mantram Imam Chanujapati. Hiranmaye, in Hiranmaya Varsha. Api, indeed. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nivasati, resides. Kurmatanum, the body of a tortoise. Vibranaha, manifesting. Tasya, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tat, that. Priyatamam, dearmost. Tanum, body. Aryama, Aryama, the chief resident of Hiranmaya Varsha. Saha, with. Varsha Purushaihi, the people of that tract of land. Pitragana Adipatihi, who is the chief of the Pitas. Upadhavati, worships in devotional service. Mantram, hymn. Imam, this. Cha, also. Anujapati, chants. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki. Shukadeva Goswami continued. In Hiranyamaya Varsha, the Supreme Lord Vishnu lives in the form of a tortoise, Kurma Sharira. This most dear and beautiful form is always worshipped there in devotional service by Aryama, the chief resident of Hiranyamaya Varsha. Along with the other inhabitants of that land, they chant the following hymns. Purport. The word Priyatama, dearmost, is very significant in this verse. Each devotee regards a particular form of the Lord as most dear. Because of an atheistic mentality, some people think that the tortoise, boar and fish incarnations of the Lord are not very beautiful. They do not know that any form of the Lord is always fully opulent personality of Godhead. Since one of His opulences is infinite beauty, all the Lord's incarnations are very beautiful and are appreciated as such by devotees. Non-devotees, however, think that the Lord Krishna's incarnations are ordinary material creatures, and therefore they distinguish between the beautiful and not beautiful. A certain form of the Lord is worshipped by a particular devotee because he loves to see that form of the Lord. As stated in Brahma Samhita, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayavvanam Cha. The very beautiful form of the Lord is always youthful. Sincere servants of a particular form of the Lord always see that form as very beautiful, and thus they engage in constant devotional service to Him. I think I'm supposed to do one more verse, no? 30 also, huh? Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Akuparaya Sarva Sattva Guna Visheshanayānupalakshita Sthanaya Namo Varshmane Namo Bhumne Namo Namo Avasthanaya Namaste. O my Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who have assumed the form of a tortoise. You are the reservoir of all transcendental qualities, and being entirely untinged by matter, you are perfectly situated in pure goodness. You move here and there in the water, but no one can discern your position. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because of your transcendental position. You are not limited by past, present, and future. You are present everywhere as the shelter of all things. And therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said, Goloka nivasatya gilatma bhutaha. The Lord always remains in Goloka, the topmost planet in the spiritual world. At the same time, He is all-pervading. This paradox is only possible for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is full of all opulences. The Lord's all-pervasiveness is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, 1861, where Krishna states, Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridadeshe arjuna tishtati. The Supreme Lord is seated in everyone's heart. O Arjuna, everywhere in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Sarvasya chaham sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Therefore, although the Lord is present everywhere, He cannot be seen with ordinary eyes. As Aryama says, the Lord is anupalakshita sthana. No one can locate Him. This is the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah? Okay. Yeah. Om ajnanatimirandasya jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuh unmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namavom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. One minute, just. Okay. Is it sharing now?
Yeah. Can you stop the video?
So very happy to be here at Sri Radha Giridhari Temple at San Diego. I'm coming for the first time here. I heard a lot of glories of this temple from various devotees, and I was recently, I went to LA. I was searching for Vijay Prabhu, and they told me Vijay Prabhu has been in San Diego, because here there is a lot of book distribution happening now. So Srila Prabhupada used to go from, sometimes LA to New York, or New York to San Francisco, wherever the books would be going, very big number. So Vijay Prabhu's heart is in book distribution. So when he saw book distribution, he has come here. I heard, very happy to see him here. Also, my humble obeisance at the lotus feet of His Holiness Badrinarayan Swami Maharaj, who who is most adored and glorified for his narration of Prabhupada's pastimes. With such narrations springing from his heart. So we all are in India very fond of his lectures. His son is Badrinath Maharaj ki. I was just telling about you. Yeah. So I've been in communication with Maharaj many times, and some of our devotees in Pune got an opportunity to render some little service to him during the GBC meetings. I'm very happy to be here with so many. And Dravida Prabhu, I knew his recordings of the shlokas from His Grace Shyamananda Prabhu in Chopati way back in 90s. So they are like a very powerful tone springing from Goloka to Buloka. Coming down from the transcendental world. Such a recitation is not ordinary. We are in this one temple, we have so many exalted souls. So thanks to His Grace Devavarat Prabhu, who actually connected me here and introduced me to devotees here. And I was in LA, I'm coming from there. I'm very thankful to all of you for giving us an opportunity to be with all of you and associate with you. Hare Krishna. So here we are the 29th verse. So this chapter is entitled The Prayers Offered to the Lord by the Residents of Jambudvipa. In the 29th verse, we heard about how Aryama in the Hiranyamaya Varsha worships the tortoise form of the Lord. You can see this tortoise form of the Lord, you're saying? It's being shared or not? It's shared? Okay. Yeah. So you can see this is a beautiful form of the Lord. So he appears in this world, especially for lifting up the earth from the Garbhodak ocean and placing her back in her position, and thereby protecting all the living entities. And no ordinary human being can do such things, such extraordinary feats. But the beauty is, when he appears in this world, he reveals his transcendental position. How have you ever seen anybody appearing from a nose? But he appears from the nose of Brahma. At one time, when all the demigods expressed their anxiety to Lord Brahma, what is going to happen to us and all the other living beings in this world, because Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu have appeared in this world and they are creating a havoc in the whole world. So how will all the living beings be protected? So at that time, Brahma gave them assurance that Lord is always alert to do the right thing at the right time. You have nothing to worry. And all the sages, demigods, the four Kumaras, Marichi, and all these people, along with Brahma, were there talking about all this. At that time, suddenly a miracle happened. From Brahma's nose, something came out. That came out. And it came down. Even Brahma couldn't ascertain what it was. Therefore, it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, Name vidusura ganaha prabhavam namaharishayah ahamadir hi devanam maharishinam cha sarvashaha. Krishna says, Name vidusura gana means, Sura gana means the hosts of demigods cannot understand who I am, he is saying. Name vidu, vidu means to know. Name vidusura gana. So, in Gita also Krishna says, in Bhagavatam also, the very first verse you hear about Muhyanti yat Surayaha. Muhyanti means to be bewildered. Surayaha means demigods. If demigods are bewildered, how can demons understand them? How can ordinary humans understand him? So, therefore, one should never approach the sacred scriptures with a proud attitude or with a electron microscope or vernier calipers or screw gauge. One shouldn't, or a telescope or anything like that. One cannot understand the Lord with any amount of any gram of 200 gram of gray matter. One cannot approach the Lord. So one has to approach him through the Guru Parampara to learn about him. Name Vidussuragana. So in this way, the demigods were bewildered when they saw, including Brahma. Brahma has 4 heads and his whole body is made up of intelligence. With 1 head, what can you understand? With 4 heads, he couldn't understand. Not only that, Brahma is firstborn son of the Lord, in the lotus navel of the Lord directly. And he was actually performing penance for the Lord, and when Lord Vishnu revealed the truth about himself, then he came to know. That Brahma here is unable to understand what is this coming out of his nose. This goes to show the transcendental nature of the Lord. He can appear from anywhere. If you ask Lord Narasimha, who is your father and mother? Narasimha will say, I manifested from a pillar. Now you decide where I am coming from. You see, Lord is the father and mother of all creatures. He is not, maybe sometimes he comes as Vasudeva Devaki's son or Yashoda Nanda's son. He manifests out of love, to reciprocate love with them. But otherwise, nobody can limit the Lord by saying that you have to be born like the way we are born. Like even Brahma is not born like an ordinary child. Brahma is born from the navel of the Lord in a lotus. Therefore, one should study the inconceivable nature of the Lord very carefully. You can see when Lord Rama looked at the ocean, the whole ocean boiled with all its aquatics. And Samudra Devata came running and fell at his feet and said, my Lord, you are performing Nara Leela. And therefore, when you asked me to give you way to go to Lanka, I didn't give you, thinking that you want to behave like a human. Now that you have exhibited your anger, immediately I'll give you path to go. Please forgive me and forgive all the creatures in this ocean, otherwise they will all perish. Lord Rama smiled and said, no, don't worry. I am going to make a Setu Bandha over you. You don't have to give way, he said. So you can see, by mere glance on the ocean, he made the ocean water boil. Like in the kitchen, how the water boils, like that it was boiling. So if he glances on this world, he can make the world perish. But he also, in the Upanishads, it is said, Saha Aikshata, Saha Asrijata, it is said. He glances at the material nature and puts all the jivas in the womb of Prakriti, giving them suitable bodies for them to run here and there and do their independently enacted activities. He, simply by his glance, you can see that. Another time when Krishna glanced at the dead covered boys, he brought them back to life in a moment. That means his eyes are like Amrita Varsha, we say. It's like emanating nectar. Wherever he glances, immediately the dead covered boys could come back to life. Which means his one eye can do so many things. Imagine taking a glass of water and try to boil it with your glance. We can't do anything. We don't have that power. So therefore one should know Lord's inconceivable powers. So when Varaha appears from the nose of Brahma, he goes down and then he grows thumb size, he grows fist size, he grows elephant size, he grows mountain size, and he gets bigger and bigger, and all the demigods are frightened. They're wondering, is it a demon, or is it a demigod, or is it some very mighty personality? Who it is? They all are discussing amongst themselves. At that time, some demigods observed that this personality has lotus petal-like eyes. Shantakaram bhujakashayanam padmanabham suresham vishwadharam gaganasadrisham meghavarnam shubhangam lakshmikantam kamalanayanam yogi hriddhyanagamyam vande vishnum bhavavayaharam sarvalokaikanatham. There it is at Kamalanayanam. There's only one person having lotus petal-like eyes. Who is that? The Supreme Lord. So they immediately felt that this personality is very familiar person to us. He has got a lotus petal like eyes, beautiful looking eyes. And before they could fully conclude who it was, the Lord, on the hairs of his body on the back, he just moved it like this and he sprinkled the water on the sages and demigods. When he did that, you know what happened? I'll just show you a minute. See, this is the shloka the Brahmanas recited. Vidhunvata vedamayam nijam vapur janastapas satya nivasino vayam shatashikoddhuta shivambu bindubhir vimrajyamana brishamisha pavitaha. O Supreme Lord, undoubtedly we are inhabitants of the most pious planets, the Jana, Tapas and Satyalokas. But still, we have been purified by the drops of water sprinkled from your shoulder hairs by the shaking of your body. Like that they said. So when the water droplets fell on demigods and sages and brahmanas, it was smelling fragrant like rose-scented waters. And immediately they declared, they offered this prayer. They could understand that this is Supreme Lord. Everybody started reciting the verses in glorification of the Lord. Sahasrashirsa Purushah Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishwato Vritman Atyatishtat Dashangulam Purushaye Vedagum Sarvam Yadbhutam Yaccha Bhavyam Bhutamritatpasheshanah. So in this way, the Purusha Sukta prayers were recited by all Devatas and Brahmanas and sages simply by observing Rahadeva, which means they understood that this is also Purushottama, Supreme Lord. And here you see what they are saying. We have become purified by the drops of the water. Now what is to be purified for those residing in Janas, Tapas and Satyalokas? These are all very, very exalted people. You all know very well that there is Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Swaha, Maha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam. These are the upper planetary systems. Atala, Sutala, Mahatal, Talatal, Rasatal, Patal are the lower planetary systems. So the lower planetary systems are filled with all the ignorant living entities. The middle one by passionate and the upper one by sattvic, those who are in mode of goodness. And amongst them also there are two divisions. If you see Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Swaha, if you see these three, Bhuvaha, Swaha, these are all Svargalokas, where Indra resides and also many Devatas reside. They have very handsome bodies, the long duration of life. They eat very delicious foods, and they have many facilities. Like for example, they only take birth and they die, but their body doesn't get old. Their body doesn't get diseases. So, and they can disappear in one form and reappear in another form. They can fly in the sky, and they live long durations of life. So they drink Somarasa. Somarasa is not liquor. Somarasa is actually purifying. Like it is said, Traividyamam Somapa Putapapa. The word Puta means purify. By drinking Soma, they get purified. Swargai Rishtva Swargatim Yagnai Rishtva Swargatim Prartayante Te Punyamasadya Surendra Lokam Ashnanti Divyan Divideva Bhogan. They are all delighting in many heavenly delights. But above those planets, there is Janalok, Tapalok, Satyalok, which is filled with many rishis, sages and saints, very serious practitioners of, Jnana Yoga, Karma, Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Those are all in the Jana, Tapa and Satyalokas, upper planetary, in the top three planetary systems. So they are already very advanced fellows. All these fellows are spiritual practitioners, serious practitioners. Now, what will they get purified of? You will see, even the jnanis and yogis, they have the tinge of that enjoying mentality which has to be given up. You will see, karmis have proprietorship mentality, jnanis have enjoyership mentality, and yogis have controllership mentality. So this tinge of these impurities can be purified by the touch of the Supreme Lord, by His divine touch. So when the water is sprinkled over them from the shoulder hairs of Varahadeva, they say we have become purified. Keshavadrita Shukara Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare. See, this is a Varahadeva. Such a beautiful picture, isn't it? Brahma is watching from the top. Vasati dashana shikhare dharani tavalagna shashini kalanka kaleva nimagna keshavadrita shukara rupa jaya jagadish hare jaya jagadish hare. Why I have put very in stout letters the Keshavadrita? Because Jayadeva Goswami says that Keshava only becomes Shukara. Krishna only becomes Varahadeva. So Varahadeva's body is also transcendental. It is not like ordinary boar. That is to be understood. Similarly, Keshavadrita, you will see Meena Sharira. You see, he only becomes a golden fish. Same manner, Keshavadrita, Shukara Rupa. In the same manner, you will find Keshavadrita, Vamana Rupa also. That also will come. So, in this way, it is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. Etej Amsha Kalah Pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All the 24 avatars mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, list of those avatars, 1.3.28 says that all these are incarnations of ultimately Krishna. Krishna is the original Lord. And he becomes all these incarnations. It's very important for us to know that these incarnations are all divine. They have a spiritual body, Satchidananda body, very similar body, all of them. And they are expansions of Krishna. You see, once upon a time a man was walking on the road and he heard some sounds from a house. The children were talking. I want to eat elephant, he said. Somebody said, I want to eat lion. Somebody said, I want to eat tiger. Somebody said, I want to eat a bird. I want to eat a deer. So he thought this house must be filled with all rakshasas, all demons. So he was a little shocked. He wanted to see, he peeped through the window. He saw the children were talking about biscuits. You've seen biscuits with different shapes? You've seen that? You've seen? Even the children know about it, yeah. So, but all these biscuits are made of the same material, correct? So now he understood, oh, they are not Rakshasas, they are all children, but they are talking about biscuits, he understood. Now, why did I tell you this example? In the same manner, just as all of those different forms of lion, tiger, elephant and birds are all made of only one material, one wheat flour or something, in the same manner, all the bodies of the incarnations of Krishna are made up of Satchidananda, spiritual body. That's the most important thing. Some people think, God has a Satchidananda body and these incarnations are material, they come to the world, they have a material body. They distinguish between Lord's body, Lord and the Lord's body, which is offensive. Krishna says in 9.11, Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanamashritam, he says. Actually, Srimad Bhagavatam also uses the word like manushya cheshtam apannau. The word is used. Dudruvatur drutam. It says that Krishna adopts a human-like behavior, but he's not a human being. That's most important to know. There is one verse in Bhagavatam which says, Anugrahaya bhaktanam deham manushyamastitah bhajate tadrishi krida ya shrutva tatparo bhavet. This verse says, Anugrahaya bhaktanam means out of mercy for his devotees, the Lord appears in this world, and like Manushya, he behaves like, he becomes a child of Yashoda, and he steals butter, he does many naughty pranks, he does. He plays with covered boys like friends. Sometimes he lifts them up in his shoulder when he is defeated. He is even defeated. So when we see these activities, one may tend to think, hey, Krishna also appears to be like you and me. Doesn't make much difference. We may think like that. But here, Bhagavatam says that he is doing Manushya Cheshta. And there are several proofs. If you read this pastime of Krishna Balram jumping off from the Pravarshana mountain, there are 5 specific words are used there. There it is said, Manushya Cheshtam Apannau. Cheshta means imitation. He is only imitating human-like activity. Also it is mentioned there that, Abhitau Bhiru Bhitavat, it is said. Bhitavat means as if he was afraid, he was running away from Jarasandha. Abhitau means he was not afraid. Bhiru means coward. He was not afraid, but like a coward, he was running away, it is said. So one should not think of his running to be ordinary running away from battle. He's called as Ranchodrai in India. In Gujarat, he is glorified. So there are many words used like that. In fact, after running a long distance, Chelatur Bahuyojanam, after running long distance, he climbed up on the top of Pravarshana mountain and he jumped 90 miles from there. And there was no fracture of his legs. And he was not taken to orthopedic section. Why? Because his body was spiritual, transcendental, so spiritual. So therefore one should know the divinity of the Lord's appearance. It's very, very important. So Krishna's body is transcendental. Similarly, all his incarnations, their bodies are also transcendental. So one can do an analysis. You can make a comparison between this Varahadeva and you can compare it with the body of the Indra who became a pig once. So if you find out what are the essential differences between the two, although externally their bodies may seem similar, still their bodies are totally different. It's like difference between earth and sky. You see, why did Indra become a pig one time? You all know the story, isn't it? He was in a ditch living with his wife and piglets, children, and Brahma came to take him back. Brahma said, your tenure in the pig's body is over. Please come back to heaven. Your seat is vacant and there is no one to take care of the heavenly kingdom. Indra said, but I don't feel like leaving this place because, I am quite happy with my pig wife and piglet children living in the ditch. And see my piglet children, they're making nice noise. He was very happy in that situation. Narakastopi dehambai napumam tyaktu michati. It said even in a naraka, in a hellish situation, the jiva doesn't want to give up his position. So, therefore, Indra was attached in his position. Whereas Varahadeva came in this world, did his business and went back to Godhead. So Varahadeva comes with a mission. Indra doesn't come with a mission. Indra was cursed to become a pig. And Varahadeva's body is spiritual, whereas Indra's body is made up of Panchamahabhuta, earth, water, fire, air, ether. Varahadeva never became forgetful. He was always alert about his purpose and mission. But Indra became forgetful. You will see that. And also Varahadeva, being expansion of Krishna, he comes out of his own sweet will. As Krishna says, Sambhavami Atmamayaya, he says. Whereas Indra didn't come by own sweet will. He was actually cursed to become a pig. You can see many differences like this. So one shouldn't think of Lord Varaha to be ordinary. And he is a purifier of even great sages, Brahmanas, and he is a purifier of even the demigods. Let us go back to the shloka. Okay. So I have to share it now? I'll share it, yeah. So, see here what Prabhupada says here. The word Priyatama, dearmost, is very significant in this verse. Each devotee regards a particular form of the Lord as most dear. So that means devotees, although they recognize all the spiritual forms of the Lord, they have affection, attraction for certain forms. There is one verse which says this in Bhagavatam. Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavita hritsaroja ase shrute kshitapato nannata pumsam yad yadhyata urgaya vibhavayanti tat tat vapu pranayase sadanugrahaya. See the last line, yad yadhyata urgaya vibhavayanti tat tat vapu pranayase means whichever form the devotees of the Lord are attracted to, Lord manifests himself in that particular form. Like when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving Mahaprakash Leela Darshan, at that time Murari Gupta was a great devotee of Lord Rama. So Lord Chaitanya gave him the darshan of Ram. And then Murari Gupta suddenly found he had become a Hanuman. And he had a big tail also behind. Suddenly he saw that form. Because he is Hanuman. Hanuman came as Murari Gupta. So Lord gives darshan like that to his devotee. Similarly, Markandeya Rishi was very fond of the Balakrishna Rupam. Padaravinde Kararavindam Kararavinde Viniveshayantam Patasya Patrasya Puteshayanam Balam Mukundam Manasa Smarami. This is Markandeya wants to meditate on Lord in the form of a Balam Mukundam, a small Balagopal lying in the banyan tree leaf during the time of cosmic cataclysm. So he had seen it once, he became very fond of it, he developed attachment for it, and now the Lord was ready to give him darshan like that always. And if you take Bhishma Pitama, he wants to see the Lord as a charioteer of Arjuna, or with great anxiety-ridden eyes, with his upper garments flowing down, lifting a wheel in his hand, charging towards Bhishma. When Krishna came running, that particular form Bhishma was very fond of seeing. So you will see that everybody has a attraction to see Krishna in a particular form. Like, even in that song, what is that? Damodar Leela song, Bala Mukund, and there also it is said, Bala Gopal. Idamte, he's saying that I want to see you as a Bala Gopal, I don't want to see anything else, he says. I am satisfied with that. Neither am I interested in moksha, nor am I interested to see any other form. This one form is enough for me. I'll keep on seeing for all time to come, he is saying. This beautiful form. Namamishwaram Satchit Anandarupam Lasat Kundalam Go Kule Brajamanam Yashoda Bhiyolukha Ladhavamanam Paramrishtamathyanta Todrutya Gopya. See, in the beginning only he says, Namami Ishwaram. You are the Supreme Lord. And Sachidananda Rupam, your body is not ordinary like a conditioned soul's body. You are a Sachidananda body, he says. And then he is saying, your earrings are glistening very beautifully, because any ornament you put on Krishna's body, and that also becomes beautiful because of the nature of Krishna's body and Krishna's glow of his body. It becomes beautiful. Why is he taking notice of that particular Lasat Kundalam? Kundalam, because the kundalam is when Krishna is running away from Mother Yashoda, his earrings are moving hither and thither. And the kundal is getting opportunity to repeatedly kiss Krishna's cheeks. When Krishna was running, it was touching. Therefore, he is saying, amongst all your ornaments, this is the most fortunate. It is watching your beautiful face and kissing your beautiful cheeks. So, he is actually praising him as a child also, but as Supreme Lord also, both. Lord is appearing like that. So that is a form Satyavrat Muni wants to see. That's the form he wants. So every devotee has a favorite form. Like some people, like our Bhishma Pitama glorified Krishna's form, but he wanted to see the 400 form of Vishnu. Because he has a relationship with the 400 form of the Lord. In the same manner, somebody is attracted to the fish form of the Lord or the tortoise form of the Lord. And so Prabhupada says here that Priyatama means it's very dear. People think that, these forms may not be beautiful. They do not know actually. These forms are spiritual. They are extremely beautiful. See, Lord's body is not like our body. Our Rishabhadev, when he adopted an Avadhuta Vesh in the last part of his life, he would be lying sometimes in some garden, the side of some street. He was in Avadhuta Vesh. At that time, when he passed the stool and urine, it was fragrant like chandan, it is said. That kind of fragrance was spreading for 80 miles. Is there anybody in this world who can pass stool which will be smelling like chandan? Like the sandalwood paste? If anybody claims to be God, we should test whether it is happening with them. Correct, no? We can ask them, show that. This is the meaning of the Lord. The Lord's body is completely divine. Everything that the Lord does is very divine. It's not ordinary. So, Lord's body is, our body actually emanates, sweat and, sometimes mucus and so many kinds of things which are very nasty. We know that how nasty they are. And it has excreta and all these things. It's a very nasty body. But the Lord's body is Sachidananda body. Anything that comes from him is very beautiful. So, therefore, the form of the Lord is very beautiful. Of course, it is a fact that amongst all the transcendental forms of the Lord, Krishna's form is the most beautiful. So much so that even Mahavishnu wants to take darshan of Krishna. There is one verse in Bhagavatam which says that Yanmartyalila upayikam svayoga maya balam darshayata grihitam vismapanam swasyachar saubagaridhe param padam bhushana bhushanangam. It is said, vismapanam means even Mahavishnu becomes vismit. Vismit means on wonderment when he sees the form of Krishna, it is said. Therefore, he stole the 4 sons of Brahmana and kept them with him so that Krishna and Arjuna will come to see him. So it's a fact that Krishna Swami is so charming that if I tell you something, you may be shocked also, which is mentioned in our Acharya's commentary, that even Vasudeva Krishna wants to see Vrindavan Krishna. It's that the 200 form of the Lord is attractive even for the 400 form of Krishna. It is what even Krishna himself is amazed by his beauty. When he looks in a pillar, his beauty is ever expanding. So that's ultimate beauty. At the same time, all the other forms like Advaitam Achyutamanadi Manantarupam, it is said, the Lord has Advaitam means all his different forms are expanding from Krishna. They are exactly similar to Krishna. For example, like one candle you take and lit up many candles. All of them will look alike. Like that, Krishna and his incarnations are like that. Nevertheless, Krishna is the source that shouldn't be forgotten ever. Therefore, we take shelter of Krishna. So, even the Varaha form is also beautiful. In one place, Prabhupada had mentioned in a purport that preaching doesn't happen only in human society, it happens in other forms of society as well by the Supreme Lord, like that Prabhupada mentioned. And I was surprised, where is this mentioned? How preaching can happen in animal forms and bird forms? I was wondering. So later on, I read in one of the Acharya's commentary, it is mentioned in the Sri Vaishnava commentary, that when Lord appears as Varaha or Matsya, in those society also, he inspires those species of life. Like when he becomes Matsya Avatar, he plays with other fishes in the ocean. And he is a hero fish for all of them. All the fishes become mad after his beauty. Similarly, when he becomes Varaha, then in Varaha, in the boar society, he preaches to them by his beauty, he says. So, in this way, the Lord is extremely beautiful to look at. You will see that, generally in this world, a man is attracted to a woman and a woman is attracted to a man. Or your she-dog is attracted to a he-dog or a he-dog is attracted to a she-dog. Whereas when Krishna appears in this world, you will see deers are attracted to him, cows and calves are attracted to him, peacocks are attracted to him, cuckoos are attracted to him, monkeys are attracted to him. And not only gopis are attracted, even the gopas are attracted to him. Every gopa wants to give his prasad to Krishna and to eat first. So, therefore it is said, Gopyo and Naryo Narascha Mudita Kupita Nimekshan. There is one verse which says that. Naryo Narascha means not only Naris are attracted to Krishna, Naras are also attracted. Men and women both are attracted, it is said. So when Lord is so beautiful that he is charming to every living entity, that's the point Prabhupada mentions about his infinite beauty. Then Prabhupada talks about the beautiful, since sincere servants of a particular form of the Lord always see that form as very beautiful, and thus they engage in constant devotional service to him. In this way, he charms them. Then in the next purport, in the 30th one, Prabhupada, the beginning talks about inconceivable nature of Lord's behavior. Actually, he resolves all the contradictions. If you take Narasimha, for example, he keeps his hand on the head of Prahlad. So Lord's hand are like Tavakara, Kamalavare. It's like a lotus, soft lotus. But his nails are like cutting tools. Because I'm a mechanical engineer, I'm using cutting tool example. We used to work with cutting tools in the shop floor. So if you don't know what it is, it's a sharp thing it is, cutting tool, very heavy one. It cuts the metals also. So his fingernails are like cutting tools, Nakham, Adbhuta Shringam. With that he could tear the body of Hiranyakashipu. And here the contradiction is resolved. Hardness and softness. Vajradapi Kathoram, Kusumadapi Komala. Another place it's resolved is, Lord Narasimha had 2 eyes, one hot eye and cool eye, sun and the moon. With the hot eye is looking at Hiranyakashipu, and with cool eye is looking at Prahlad. He can simultaneously exhibit love towards Prahlad and he can exhibit anger towards Hiranyakashipu. He can do that. Contradiction can only be resolved in him. Any of us can try that. Whether he can be simultaneously angry and be loving, it's very difficult. Lord can do that very powerfully. To some degree, parents and teachers can imitate that in a small proportion, but Lord can do it in a very great proportion. Similarly, Lord is far away in Goloka Nivasati, but Akhilatma Bhuto. He's there in every atom also at the same time. He can be. So Prabhupada is saying in this way, all the contradictions are resolved. He is outside as Virat Purusha, inside as Super Soul. And then last part of the purport Prabhupada says here, Anupalakshita Sthana. No one can locate him. He says, just like Kunti Maharani says, Alaksham Sarva Bhutanam Antarbahiravastitam. Actually, Kunti Maharani saw that Lord Krishna was sitting in the chariot. 2 Brahmastras came, one to kill the Pandavas and one came to kill the Parikshit, the last child of last Shishu in the Pandava dynasty, which was sent by whom? Ashwatthama. So Lord Krishna saw that Pandavas cannot swiftly act in this situation. I have to help them. They are dependent on me. Immediately he took his chakra and cut off one of the Brahmastra. He cancelled it without bothering about being criticized, for immorality. Prabhupada writes there, Krishna didn't bother to be glorified as a worldly moralist. Krishna didn't tell Pandavas, oh Pandavas, I am sorry I couldn't save you because I had to be a moralist, so you all have to die now. He didn't say that. He saved the Pandavas, his devotees, even at the cost of criticism. And also Krishna entered into the womb of Uttara and saved the other child also. So Kunti Maharani was watching. Krishna is sitting in the chariot and he did these 2 actions without having to move out of his chariot. Not that Krishna had to run. So now I have to go to Uttara, I have to go to Pandavas. Coolly he was doing it. Therefore she said, Antar Bahir Avastitam. You are inside the womb also and you are also sitting in the chariot peacefully. So she was amazed. But she says, Alaksham Sarva Bhutanam. Still the living beings cannot see you, Krishna. Like that she is saying, they can't understand you because their eyes are not yet tinged with the salve of love, like Karna and Duryodhana and Dushasana. They all cannot see you because actually you are exalted, you are pure. We need Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena, then only we can see you. Like that she says, otherwise we can't, no one has the ability to see. So in conclusion, I would like to say one point and stop this, complete my talk today. You see, Lord cannot be understood even by the Vedas. It is said, Vedeshu Durlabham, Adurlabham, Atma Bhakta. It is said. Why? Because the Vedas teach you to follow the dharma for getting artha, for getting wealth. And with artha, they tell you now you can enjoy kama. And then when you are frustrated with enjoyment in this material world, you can aspire for moksha. Vedas mostly talk about these 4 purusharthas. On the other hand, you will find pure devotees can help us to surpass these 4 purusharthas, and they can bestow Shuddha Bhakti, Krishna Prema directly by explaining about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His nature and His qualities, His pastimes, His activities, and instilling faith in the hearts of the conditioned souls. They can do that. Therefore, it is said, Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam. The real Dharma resides in the heart of a pure devotee. And like Prabhupada said to Jadurani Mataji, who asked him, Prabhupada, is Paramatma standing or sitting or reclining? So Prabhupada said, that will take you 10,000 lifetimes, Prabhupada said. She said, I have to wait for 10,000 lifetimes. Prabhupada said, no. You can hear from a pure devotee what is Paramatma doing. If you connect with the pure devotee, in one moment you can come to know. And Prabhupada said, now you note down, Paramatma is standing, go and draw it, he said. So if you connect with the pure devotee, in one moment you get the truth. And we don't have to struggle for millions of lifetimes. Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki. Thank you very much. His Holiness Badrinath Maharaj would like to make some comments. I'll send this mic. Okay.
No, I have a question though.
Yes, Maharaj.
Just as a sidelight,
Yes,
when Prabhupada was in Los Angeles, a man asked him, this is Los Cienega, 1969. 1969. So a devotee, just a guy off the street, asked, so, can you see Super Soul? And Prabhupada said, yes. He said, then what is he doing? And to everyone's surprise, Prabhupada closed his eyes was quiet for a minute, nodded his head, and said, "Ah, he is standing." So it definitely looked like Prabhupada was checking just to make sure by some deep, sublime meditation, but I won't offer any purport beyond that. My question, I have two questions, and I'll just ask one, and the other devotees, I may have some questions. It's not exactly on the theme, but I just want to hear how you answer it. Because you're describing how Krishna is the source of all things and everything emanates from him, even Vishnu, from so many candles, other candles are lit, you know. All right, then they always ask, well, what's the source of Krishna? And we always say that's the very definition. He's sarvakarana karanam. He has no cause. Well, you meet a materialist. I've actually had this happen to me. And I gave some answer, but I'm interested in your answer. Well, you'd ask me to accept that Krishna always was. That's just by definition. Krishna always existed. Well, they also say in advanced physics, matter always exists. It can be neither created or destroyed. So this material nature it changes its shape. Fine, it's a river of names. I'll accept that. Yeah. But it has no cause. The material nature, why are you extrapolating that there has to be a supreme being behind it? It just always was. You want me to accept that Krishna always was. That's just axiomatic. In the same way, why can't this material nature have always existed? It doesn't need a cause.
Yeah. So in the physics, there is something called as carbon-nitrogen cycle. So when physicists using that, now they have found out that this universe was created at a particular point of time. Earlier than that, they were thinking that, this universe always existed and there is no need for a creator. Because if this universe exists always, then it excludes the need for a creator. But now it's proven fact in physics that it was created at a particular point of time. They talk about singularity, from which the whole universe springs like this with a big bang. It springs. So now, at a certain point of time, it's created. So now the next question comes, whether it sprang from a high density point, which is of infinite density and infinite temperature, infinitesimal in size, beyond the conceptions of space and time. That is called Big Bang theory, we call it. Now, how can you call it a theory? Because when you are talking about some physics theory which will be accepted by the students, and there has to be first of all a hypothesis, then you have to do an experiment, then you have to prove it in the lab and everything. If you see, they are talking about beyond all conceptions of space and time. They are talking about it, and they are also talking about infinite point, and it cannot be mathematically proven also. So therefore, the faith is not eliminated by them. Faith is given a new garb. That's all. They are saying that instead of putting faith in God, you put faith in us, in our theory. Because there is no scientific evidence for the Big Bang theory. Not only Big Bang, there are 20 theories on origin of the universe. If you see the Google search, if you put, you will find none of them is accepted by scientists also. Scientists cannot pin down one of those 20 theories and say that, yes, this is it. Because they themselves are proposing it could be this, it could be that and all that. They are not confident of anything, and none of them, because the defeating is also done by them only. We don't need Krishna's devotees to defeat them. They are already defeating one another, amongst themselves. So, which means there is one Encyclopedia Britannica says that, none of these theories have been accepted by any of them, and they are still, Stephen Hawking, who died in 2018, if you see, since end of the 19th, in the beginning of 20th century, 2021, 2020, 2001, 2002, he has been telling that I am going to come up with a differential equation, which college students can wear in their t-shirt. So he call it as a GUT, Grand Unified Theory. Everything in this universe can be written with a differential equation, and we will know the source of the world and everything, all that he was speaking. Now in 2018, fortunately, before dying, he did one thing. He said, now I can tell you that the universe is highly complex, and we won't be able to come up with such a thing. And I congratulate all of you that your research will be endless, like that he said. Go on endless researching. Just before dying, he made a statement, you will see that. He went. So therefore, they are speechless about the origin of the universe. Now let's come to the Krishna understanding. We have this universal shell within which there is time. We call it as a time domain. Outside the time domain, there is eternity. So when you are in eternity, what to speak of Krishna? Even the jiva does not change. Krishna does not change, jiva doesn't change. Both are changeless. And when jiva comes into this world, he is given a changing body. And still even jiva is here called as achaloyam. Achaloyam sanatana. Jiva doesn't change at all. It's like all these chemicals and fluids and solids, everything moving around jiva's body outside. That is what is undergoing change. Jiva doesn't change at all. He is eternal even here in the material world also. And when we get rid of the gross and subtle coverings once and for all, in fact, subtle covering is 100% purified, then the jiva doesn't need it anymore. Jarayatyashya kosham nigirinam analoyata, Kapila says that. The subtle body is also burned away in this world. And the pure jiva goes back to eternity again. So Krishna is eternal, jiva is eternal, and their relationship is eternal in the eternal frame of time. And when they come into this world, Krishna comes with his self-same body. Therefore, this body is also eternal body. And we come with the body, we come in this world and we get covered over by two coverings, like that. Now coming to the point of, the source of everything, should be Lord. Like for example, I'll just show you one quick thing.
Should be void?
Yeah, it should be, should be the Lord, form of, I'll just show you.
Can I interject something while you're looking?
And I am showing here only.
Alrighty.
Is it coming?
Yeah, now it's good.
Yeah. This is what they are saying, that everything is Big Bang. Either this is true or this is true. Correct, no? Yeah, isn't it? That's the question. So,
yeah.
The actually cosmological approach, Prabhupada is asking a question to people. Okay, you have a father, his father, if you go, father, everything, is it a stone chunk? Is it this? Or father, everything is this? Like the Prabhupada asked. So you can ask any human being with any common sense, they will agree that, we have no experience of anything coming from a stone chunk, no living being coming. Then it comes to the question of, does life arise from matter? Or life comes from life? That's another question. So it's proven thoroughly by Prabhupada as well as many scientists. There is one scientist called Moore, M-O-O-R-E. Recently, he thoroughly smashed Darwin's theory and origin of so-called life originating from matter. He has done a very good job. Just a few months ago, I got the link also for that. So, therefore, cosmological approach means the source of all the grandparents ultimately is Brahma, and the Brahma comes from another living body, which is Lord Vishnu. And if somebody thinks like this, we can ask them, what is your proof? Okay, you say that we don't have proof for this. What is your proof? We can ask them. For something coming from a stone.
So just hang on. I'm helping you understand American mentality because you're going to be traveling in America.
Yeah.
They're not going to sit through such a long explanation unless you're, because I appreciate it, but it requires, your answer requires that I accept the definition of the Vedas. You can explain to me that it all came from a singularity and you have to have, is it it seems to me what you're saying, and it seems to me it's the actual answer. We cannot actually prove. There's no experience. I'm also going to give a long answer. So I don't want to take up your time. I'm just thinking that we can't prove our hypothesis.
Yeah.
They can't prove their hypothesis.
Correct.
So then it's a question of faith.
Actually, it's called inferential.
Wait. Who do we put our faith in?
Correct.
And my counter to that would be, because to keep it simple, it's a question of where do you have faith and where is the proof? You can't prove that everything came from nothing. They're struggling around. They got the singularity, and like you say, each one refutes, and you know, whatever. They have not proven it, and they cannot prove it. Then they say, well, you can't prove the existence of God. We say, well, you've got to do the experiment. We say you can prove the existence of God. If it all rests on faith? But we say it can.
Mm.
How long did it take you to get your PhD? Well, you had to spend 4 years in college, at least 2 years as an undergrad, 2, 3, 4 years to get your PhD. So what is that? 4, and so it's at least 8 years. And you have to do all kinds of, you have to be renounced, you have to surrender to your your sponsor, you're a PhD candidate, you're working under somebody. So by the same argument, give us 8 years. Surrender to a guru, as ISKCON, Hare Krishna guru, and you practice seriously for 8 years. Seriously, you will understand that God is real. So we do have a sort of proof, but it comes down to the point of faith and then practice.
Actually,
And if you want to argue against that, please do.
yeah. Actually, it doesn't come down to the point of faith in my understanding, because science accepts inferential logic, surely. For example, can electronics engineer catch electron and give me a hand? Can he give you? Can he catch one electron and show you a hand he can give you? Nobody can catch electron. Nobody can even see an electron at all. And they are doing electronics engineering. They can only see the reflection of an electron on a cathode ray tube. Based on that, they agree that electron exists. For example, if you open the window, and I don't have to see the sun in the sky, I can say that sun is in the sky simply by looking at the sunlight. So it's called as inferential logic. Based on the sunlight, I'm saying sun is existing. In the same manner, the soul in the body cannot be seen, visibly. But the existence of the soul has many observable evidences, just like
wind can't be seen. You can see the leaves. You see the symptom.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
That's called as observing the unseen through the seen. Correct, no? So now, I'll just show you another thing. Actually, they don't have to even surrender to Guru or God, Guru or Parampara or anything. They can easily, there are many things to show. I'll just show you one thing for just 1 minute.
They can't prove that consciousness is caused by brain function.
Yeah, correct. See here, if you see this one, see, by observing the world around us scientifically, we can see the hand of a supreme intelligent designer. This is the basis. Because if we tell them to surrender to Guru, they are not ready, many of them. So first we give them this one. See, we are telling them from your observation, then scientist observation. Like for example, I'll show your observation. Okay, now let us go to this is what Krishna says in Gita, that everything emanates from him. So he says these things. You can observe these things, this creation. This is about intelligent design, creation. There is a book called as Nature's IQ. There is one book. And there are Darwin's Secret Identity. There are many books like that. If you read them, you see that now intelligence design was earlier denied by many scientists. It has come back again now. They have observed, you may be aware, Fibonacci, a spiral, if you see, 1, 1, 2, 5, So you will see that everywhere, wherever there is spiral in nature, it follows the same pattern. So they call it as a God's signature. I have that video also. And if you see, if the sun is dead, rain, water is dead, and ocean is dead, how can 3 dead items work together to produce the rain? Like if anybody says that the dead items can work, then I will remove my kurta and put it, and it has to go automatically to the bathroom, get washed and get dried and folded in my cupboard, I can use it. Dead things cannot move unless it is moved by some living thing. So you can see, I did an experiment in my MTech thesis. I have a closed chamber where I have to change the PVT conditions, pressure, volume, temperature. And it is very delicate. Changing is not very easy, fixing it. Now in this upside down bowl of the sky, how the water is converted into steam, and then the steam is again converted into water again. PVT condition has changed. Unless somebody does it, it cannot be done. Somebody has to do that. The same manner, if you see, human being can only make plastic mangoes or plastic grapes and keep it in the showcase. He cannot make the real ones like this. So we can show things like this. Light of the moon. And the creation of nature, there is artistry in the nature if you see. No ordinary, even to make a paper rose, it requires canvas, it requires color, rose color, it requires scissors, it requires a talented person who can cut the paper and canvas and then make the rose. Still it will not smell at all. It's a paper rose. Paper rose is paper rose. And you can imagine to make a real rose, it will require certainly intelligence. Okay, now let us come to this.
Just to drive your point home.
Yeah.
So your resting point, in addition to the other things you've said,
Yes.
Your resting point is that in order to have order, pattern, symmetry, there has to be an intelligence behind it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you can prove that intelligence is not material. So
Yeah.
that is your proof.
Actually, there are 6 things we are establishing here.
Please share with us.
There are see, does God exist? From here it begins. For example, see the first one: who creates and maintains a beautiful, harmonious universe? That's the first question. And then artistry. These are the 6 things here. If you see, A, B, C, D, E, F. Artistry means there's artist. Beautiful organization means organizer. Creation means creator. So each of this has explanation in this show. If you see this, actually it's available on net also very easily. If you in the Radheshyamdas.com, in that I have put it in Discover Yourself course. This is one of the topics. So if one example I'll show you, will see here. These are all paintings. For drawing painting, you have a great painter. And what about the real beauty in nature like this? If painting requires a painter, how can the real thing come without artist? That's the question. This is also intelligent design. I told you the example of the rose. Biological complexity, fragrance in their shapes and forms. That's about organization. Artistry implies artist. In the same manner, we have told one by one we have shown. So we have shown this one, if you see this. You're getting the sound? Sound is coming? This. Sound?
Bees are called social insects because they live and work together as a community. Thousands of female bees, called worker bees, live together in a hive with a queen bee. The queen bee was marked with a red dot, so we can see her better. The worker bees are all females, but they almost never lay eggs. Worker bees do almost all the chores in the hive. They gather pollen or nectar, guard the entrance, clean the hive, build the comb, make honey, tend the queen, and feed the larvae. They even fan the hive with their wings to keep it cool on a hot summer day.
This organization is honeybees. It's like a very big factory. There is a queen, there is a drone, and all of them going and bringing honey. So how can such an organization? You can imagine man is proud of his own organization and industries and companies. You can see them. In the same manner, we have shown this spider also. Cobweb.
Mathematician spiders. Compared to their own sizes, spiders build very large webs. Indeed, if we enlarged a spider to the size of a human being, the length of the web it weaves would be approximately 150 meters, which corresponds to a 50-story skyscraper. Is it possible for a human being to weave a lacework the size of a 50-story skyscraper in only an hour? But a tiny spider accomplishes much more than that. Moreover, the spider-woven web is the sturdiest material in the world. How do spiders weave these webs possessing miraculous features? The spider takes into consideration many factors while weaving a web hundreds of times larger than its own size. This task demands at least some calculations essential in constructing a building. For the accomplishment of this work, first the spider must draw a project like an architect for a construction of this size, design, and sturdiness cannot be accomplished without an architectural project. Once the project is drawn, the spider must calculate the lifting capacity of each part of the web like an engineer, otherwise the web cannot remain suspended. In order to design such a web and make such delicate calculations, the spider must be more qualified than a college graduate. Indeed, there is not a university that provides education to the offspring. Following their birth, they begin to produce silk.
It's just instinct. It's instinct.
No, instinct, where is it coming from, instinct?
Say that again?
Where does the instinct come from? So, in the same manner, you will see, organization. Actually, we have shown. See, there is some like sleek cars. Someone manufactured it. Trendy computers. Someone assembled it. You see, elegant watches. Someone designed it. Architectural marvels. Someone erected it. Skyscraper buildings. Someone built it. Wonderful sculptures. Someone carved it. The next question is: shouldn't this universe also have a super intelligent creator who created such things? What we saw just now. So this is all about organization. In the same manner, so creation implies a creator. In the same manner, if you see this seed is, how much it is? It's not even 1.5 centimeters. It's only 1.5 centimeters. That's all. This sequoia seed. And see the tree, what comes out of this when you put in the ground. This is the tree which comes. It is 300 feet high from this tree. He's saying, and also it is, you need 15-20 people to embrace this tree around. It is so huge. And see the human size you can see here in front of this tree. This is what comes out of the seed. And see, cars can go through it, big cars. It's packaged in a tiny seed. See here, it is taller than Statue of Liberty also. So, in the same manner we have shown, so there are many things like this. If you see this video, it's very interesting for the students. It's a short one, I'll bring. You can see when the Intel is designing in a computer machine, we talk about it, but this is million times more. See, if somebody says Intel, like we have this, sleek MacBook we have. If that comes by chance, I will agree that human brain came by chance. I will agree. That didn't come by chance. That requires, therefore we say God made the ocean, we can only make swimming pools. God made the moon, we can only make dome lights. So he does things in a big way and we do the same in a small way. So tiny jiva can do tiny things. Great God can do great things. That's the conclusion. So you can leisurely see this. The micro world also we have shown. If you see, there are 14 type of Bravais lattices. We have shown how the bodies in a cubic. That means, even the configuration of the metals, they are all properly organized. 1s2, 2p6, we can write a structure for each metal, 120 elements. They are not randomly thrown. They all have one of these 14 type of Bravais lattices. Yeah. So we have gone to, you see this carbon, you are seeing on the left side graphite and diamond are the same family. But graphite is very porous and you can break it with the hand also. But diamond is number 10 on Mohs scale, hardest material, you will see that. So why this difference has come? One small molecular change, that's all. If you, instead of this position, you do like this, molecular position change, immediately it becomes diamond. You can see that. So man cannot adjust this. If man can do that, he will convert all graphite into diamond, he will do that. We can't change it. God has changed it in such a way that one is diamond, one is graphite. So we have shown things like this, how meticulous design in micro world. Not only you are showing in macro world. There is one, all of you can see in the Google search, it's called cosmic eye. If you put cosmic eye, you will go to the micro world and macro world. Man himself is amazed by what details exist in both the worlds like that. So in this way, this is a very interesting show. I'm not showing you everything. You can see at your leisure. This is like satellite communication. See, one satellite if you put for using a mobile, this many parameters are to be taken care. Just for one Sputnik if you put in the orbit. All this, so many people are sitting in the control room and taking care of it. Many of us may not even know about how the satellites are being managed. Otherwise, you can't phone to anybody. On the other hand, if you see the Earth, see what is it, how much weight it is. 6 into 10 power 21 metric tons. You see. And then, see, this is the speed around the sun. And who is in control? Is NASA in control? We have to ask. Yeah. We are not controlling it, and we can see how it is moving. In the same manner, like the traffic police. Actually, if you see the similarly the sun also. This is what I told. This is one interesting one. Last one, I will do this. You can see.
Around 1200 AD, a man named Leonard Pisano, better known as Fibonacci, discovered a sequence of numbers that created a very interesting pattern. The sequence begins with the numbers 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and continues indefinitely. Each number is obtained by adding the last two digits together. A rectangle with a length and width of any two of the numbers of this sequence forms what is known as the golden rectangle, a perfect rectangle. A golden rectangle can be broken down into squares the size of the next Fibonacci numbers down and below. If we were to take a perfect or golden rectangle, break it down into smaller squares based on Fibonacci's sequence, and divide each with an arc, the patterns begin to take shape. We begin to see Fibonacci's spiral. The spiral in and of itself is insignificant. Its importance is revealed in where we find it. Take, for example, the sunflower. The display of its florets are in perfect spirals of 55, 34, and 21, the sequence of Fibonacci. The fruitlets of the pineapple create the same spiral based on the sequence. The pine cone does the same. As currents move through the ocean and the tide rolls onto the shore, the waves that bring in the tide curve into a spiral that can be mathematically diagrammed onto a plot at the points 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and 55. Buds on trees, sand dollars, starfish, petals on flowers, and especially the nautilus shell are formed with this exact same blueprint. With each segment of growth, the nautilus adds to itself one more value on Fibonacci's scale. This blueprint can be seen around us on a small scale every day, but the greatest example of all is directly above our heads. At an average of 100,000 light years across, even the spiral of the galaxies above us are formed with the exact design that the tiny shell is formed. This sequence or blueprint appears to be the trademark of a designer, a proof of a creator, something left behind indicating the one who was there, a fingerprint. As we scan our universe from the tiny flower to the awe-inspiring galaxy, we see the fingerprint of God.
Is that right?
It's just coincidence. Coincidence in the law of averages.
Yeah, of course.
We can spend some more time.
Actually, as I told you, when we go to students, we don't bring scriptures at all in the beginning. This is how we teach students. You see that. Actually, the advantage of arguing like this with the students is, as you rightly said in the beginning, they will say that you have faith in this, have faith in that. Now when you ask, you have to ask them, you have to show one thing. You heard about PMM, right? Perpetual motion machine in thermodynamics law. That is only a figment of their imagination. What does it say? PMM means it doesn't require any input, but it goes on giving unlimited output. So where they got this idea, like the sun, if you see. Sun is giving unlimited output and they are not giving any petrol to the sun. Like we give petrol to our car. Every day you have to put petrol for the car, otherwise you can't move from place to place. But sun, who is supplying petrol? So they want to make a machine like the sun, which will give unlimited output with practically no input. And that is only a theory in thermodynamics, and nobody has ever made like that. So they have no, that is the reason you will never find such a machine. Only God has made such a machine. You will see that like sun. Because, no, yasyagnyaya, Brahmati sambrata kala chakro, govindamadi purusham tamaham vajami. That yasyagnyaya word is used. In the 5th canto of Bhagavatam it is said, when the sun is moving up, it moves very slowly. When it is coming down, it comes fast. That means even the rate of the movement of the sun is also not same. Then who is controlling? Is man controlling or God controlling? Because the speed is altered by the Lord. He is changing the speed. So therefore, when we, like for example, there are 40 chemical reactions happening during the photosynthesis in a plant to produce a chlorophyll, if you see. So they are watching all these things happen. They are using instruments. How is this happening? How is that happening? It's not that God produced, grains and fruits and flowers million years ago. Now, right now, He's producing. You can ask the scientists, you are not producing, I am not producing, who is producing it? Isn't it? So, therefore, the class of people called naturalists, they say, it is happening in nature. Then we have to ask a question, if it can automatically happen in nature, just because you need food, it's coming in nature. Like children may say like that. When you come from school, the child finds a sandwich and some tomato ketchup or something. You ask a kid, how did he get it? Because I'm hungry, it is here. If they say, is it a meaningful answer? The mom has made and kept it. You ask a child when you go to the airport, why does the door open? Because I have to go inside, door is opening. It's utter foolishness because there is a sensor which is blocking the moving person inside. So Prabhupada is asking, is it a pre-arrangement or is it automatic? Think about it. We cannot show one automatic machine. Even in mechanical engineering, they call as automatic machines as caps and turret lathe. Why they call it automatic, I'll tell you. They take 3 days to set it up. It has a octagonal turret, Each side they will put different tools and everything. It takes a long time actually, 3 days. Almost every day 10 hours they spend. After that it can make 20,000 to 50,000 bolts or nuts it can make. It will make like that. Therefore they call it automatic. But there is a pre-arrangement. Without the pre-arrangement, it cannot work on its own. Not only that, any machine you take, unless the spirit touches matter, the machine cannot start. Like in a computer company also you will see, one command I am giving in my computer, then 3 days it can be printing, and continuously it may print. But that one touch can only be given by a spirit. Even if scientists tell you that the sun is going on and on because of nuclear fission, something they like this say. You can challenge them. Who bombarded the first neutron? Without which chain reaction cannot start. So, my suggestion to any preacher, especially in engineering colleges, where the students depend on science based on the Pratyaksha Praman, it is best to smash all their foolish conceptions. We should take out thorn by thorn. That is the best. And then when they cool down, their pride is smashed, then only they are likely to consider you seriously. In India we do this. We have this 8-session course. We have made it more and more professional as you see here. So these are 8 sessions are available. And when we do these things, students understand that these fellows are not bluffing. They have something substantial to give. And then we have one full session on science of soul. Then we talk about even while speaking Krishna consciousness, we give evidences on a reasonable level. For example, why am I calling God as personal? If somebody asks me, what I would say is this. Just like I showed you now, 2 things I showed you in that PowerPoint. Yeah. See, for example, I showed you some lotuses, correct? You remember? You saw those lotuses. Yeah. So when you see the lotus, when you see the Grand Canyon, when you see the Niagara waterfalls, when you see the colorful flowers and different kinds of flowers with different orientation and everything, immediately what does it tell you about God? God is a person of the heart. He has an aesthetic appeal. Honestly tell me, do you see aesthetic appeal in nature or not? Any of you, can you deny it? Is there aesthetic appeal or not? You have seen the rainbow. So there is an aesthetic appeal in the nature. So it represents the heart of God. Now you see the Fibonacci spiral I showed you. That shows the head of God. He is an intelligent person. He has By his signature, he has made everywhere this spiral he has made. So now, if you compare these two things, head and heart, even you have a physical head and a physical heart. But figuratively speaking, what should we be? Should we be a person of head or heart? Some people raise hand for head. I want to be a heady person, very intelligent person, sharp person, reasonable person, everything. But then people will call you as heartless. And some people want to be a heart person. People will call you sentimental, emotional. You can be misled by others. So all of us can understand you need a combination of both, a head and heart. Then a person is considered a balanced person. So if we have a head and heart, physically and figuratively, and nature also shows that there is heart of God and head of God. How can a person with head and heart not have a form? That's how the form of the Lord can be proven. God made man in his own image. What is said in the Bible becomes proven. So this is how we teach the students, because students, for them to accept the truth, initially you give a lot of scientific information, and after that you give reasonable information. Like just now I told you why God is form. God has a form. You give them reasonable information. Then they will come to a point where they can accept the sacred scriptures beyond all logic also. We come to a point of, it's called as credibility, we call it. They have right now credibility in science. We have to bring them to the point of credibility in scriptures. After that, scripture can say anything they will be able to accept. They know that these are beyond the range of our senses, and we can understand to some degree. Unseen can be proven by the seen to some degree, but not to the fullest degree. Then the credibility is a meaningful, it's called a sensible faith, and verifiable to some degree to the best of our ability. Then they will be able to progress further. Is that all right, Maharaj?
That's what I wanted to draw out.
Yes.
So we should end now, but that's what I wanted to get out.
Actually, there is credibility.
No, we have to end. We have to end.
Yeah. Actually.
Can we find this on your website?
Oh yes, it's available. Actually, if you go to this thing, radheshyamdas.com, in that, if you put discover yourself, then this course will come. It's there in the YouTube also, it's there, Radheshyam Das. And another one is capital GAME. If you put, that will have 75 sessions will be there. And after this Discover Yourself 8-session course, we do those 75 session course. And in 75 sessions, if we do every week one session, we keep doing.
We got to wrap up.
Yes, thank you. So you can see that. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. Actually, I'm supposed to end at 8:30. I went ahead because Maharaj brought up a very interesting subject. And thank you. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki.